Hello and welcome to a brand new Monday and the start of a brand new week. I'm James Innes, the Jobs Guru, and Monday is also the day of the week that my usual weekly column comes out in the Daily Star. First of all, you'll have to just forgive any camera shake. My wife Delphine is doing the filming today. I could have just used a tripod, but we both figured that we could do with a 5-minute break from our 3 children who are currently causing some form of destruction in the room next door. But we'll worry about that later, eh, darling? So, anyway, where was I? Back to work. My column in the Daily Star this week's question is from Jane in Brighton. Jane says, I am a freelance copywriter. However, I have lost my main client, a travel firm, no surprises there, because of the ongoing coronavirus situation. This has left me in a bit of a state financially, and a lot of other places I've contacted for work aren't taking on new people. Are there any other avenues of work I can try that you would recommend that would allow me to use my copywriting skills? Okay, so I am so very sorry to hear this, Jane, and indeed all of the similar stories I have been sent recently. There are a lot of freelancers out there in very much the same predicament. Fortunately, the government has stepped in with some serious financial assistance, so if you don't already know about that, then please do look into it immediately, because as you say, this situation will undoubtedly have left you in a bit of a state financially, obviously. What with so many freelancers out there in the same boat as you, competition is exceptionally fierce right now. I therefore feel that being open to exploring other areas is very important. Don't just search for copywriter roles, but look at any freelance or work from home opportunities. You may find something that hadn't at all crossed your mind, but obviously do be careful about the many scams out there as well. When it comes to work from home, there are certainly plenty of scams. Obviously, it's vital to update and enhance your LinkedIn profile, making it clear that you are available now and open to opportunities, and use platforms like Upwork to broaden your search and get your name out there. As it happens, my business, the James Innes Group, trading the CV Centre and the Resume Centre, depending on what part of the world you're in, is experiencing quite a boom, what with millions very sadly losing their jobs, and we can't get hold of good writers fast enough, so maybe you should apply. In a nutshell, in situations like this, when competition for freelance work is particularly ferocious, it pays more than ever to identify your transferable skills and to think outside of the box. Now, each week in my Daily Star column, as well as answering one reader's specific question, I also look into a specific issue which has been raised by a number of different readers, and I do this in my Spotlight On section. This week, I shine my spotlight on voluntary redundancy. Now, voluntary redundancy, often just abbreviated to VR, it's a financial incentive offered by an organisation to encourage employees to voluntarily give up their job, typically in downsizing or restructuring situations, a lot of which is obviously going on at the moment. Now, it's important to note, though, that even if you volunteer, your employer is under no obligation to actually accept your offer. But basically, the purpose of VR is to avoid or reduce compulsory redundancies by allowing those who wish to depart to do so of their own accord. And also, obviously, to allow the organisation to amend its employee profile. In normal circumstances, that's one of the key reasons. It's typically offered to a specific age group and experience level. So, you should, of course, think very carefully about whether VR is right for you, including how it will affect things like, for example, your mortgage. That's important to take that in consideration. And finally, I wanted to end my little chat today by answering a question a journalist put to me last week, because it's one of my favourites. It's, what is the ideal length of a CV? 2 pages? Well, if I had £1 for every time I've been asked this question, I'd be a very rich man right now. I have seen CVs over 30 pages long. That's true, you might not believe me, but it's true, with photocopies of all the individual certificates on top of that. This is not an autobiography you're writing, it's a curriculum vitae, it's a lot shorter. Now, I always advocate a 1-page CV if it's feasible, and some recruitment agencies, especially headhunters, may insist on a 1-page CV. Failing that, 2 pages are entirely acceptable, and in certain circumstances it may be acceptable for a CV to run to 3 or more pages, but only for certain special cases, for example medical, engineering, and these are really the exceptions that prove the rule. People often feel that a one-page CV is somehow worth less than a two-pager, but that's definitely not true. It's much better to have a good, strong one-page CV than a two-page one padded out with unnecessary information. You should always be aiming to exclude irrelevant information which may detract from other more important points. And often a CV which has been spread out over 2 pages can, with a little careful tweaking, be made to fit onto 1 page. And this tends to have greater impact. Of course, don't force a CV unnecessarily onto 1 page when 2 pages would be better. But do avoid a 1.5 page CV. That tends to look incomplete and weak. And regardless of the length, do make sure that all of your most important information is conveyed on the first page, or, for a 1-page CV, in the top half of the page, because too many recruiters, simply won't bother to look any further. So that's all for this week. Thank you for listening. An extra big thank you to my camera woman here. Keep safe and chat soon. And I think we're going to go and see what the children are up to now.